Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Freelance Success Framework Limited podcast series. Hey there, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, guys, today we are going to tackle probably the most common objection, concern that comes up when it comes to freelancing. And that is the idea of freelancing being risky.
You're not going to make any money ever.
You're going to fail. The bank's going to take your house, all this kind of stuff. And we joke, but let's be honest. If you have, yeah, exactly. It's a real fear. And probably if you have said to anyone, floated the idea to anyone of going freelance, they probably have said something along the lines of, ooh, that's risky. Are you sure you know what you're doing? I can tell you for sure that that has been something that someone has said to me in my past. And Kate, I'm sure you've heard it too.
Friends still say it even after freelancing successfully for more than 10 years. So
yeah, exactly. And I have freelanced often. I've been a full-time freelancer or a part-time freelancer, but I have been freelancing for 20 years now. Isn't that funny that even still, you've been doing it for so long and people still can't wrap their minds around the fact that it's a viable career. Well, and the thing is too, is that, we say, well, people say it's risky, but you know who would never give you that feedback? A successful freelancer. Like if you said, oh, I'm going to go freelance to a successful freelancer, they'd say, oh, good for you. It's great. Let me know if you need any tips. Because it absolutely is a possible, more than possible career. I think one of the reasons that people think that it is so impossible is that people don't know what to do. They don't know what the steps are.
Most people, when they jump into freelance, they go freelance and they don't have a game plan. They don't have a system for getting clients. They don't know how to invoice. They don't know the basics that even if they do it for a few months and maybe they have a client here, client there, they just think, oh, this is it. This is how freelancing is. It's work as it comes. And there's no way to make this consistent.
Which is absolutely absolutely untrue. But I mean, it makes sense, right? That you would struggle if you don't have a system for finding and landing clients. And I think when you don't have that system, a lot of people who are not freelance or who are thinking about getting into freelance, or even the people who are freelancing and struggling, they wonder, where do clients come from? And they think it involves, they think it can involve sitting and waiting for clients to kind of fall into your lap, or trying to just get referrals or things like that. And that's absolutely not how you're going to scale a business.
No, that's the feast or famine kind of where that comes from, is from folks who sit and wait or just don't know how to go about getting clients and building their client base.
Absolutely. Well, and you know what? Honestly, the concept of feast or famine or dry spells, whatever you want to call it, it is scary. I mean, that's very scary that you're going to be making money with clients one day and then the next day it's all going to dry up and disappear. And the fact of the matter is that there are plenty of people out there who are freelancing who do experience feast or famine and who do experience dry spells, because they don't know how to go out and find clients and land clients so that they have consistent income coming in. The simple fact of the matter is that dry spells happen because you're relying on something outside of you to make clients appear. If you don't have a way to go out and find these clients and turn prospective clients into actual clients, then you are at the mercy of fate, of whatever comes your way. And of course you would experience dry spells. Of course you would experience feast and famine if you don't have a system, a process for finding clients. Then in that case, freelancing absolutely is risky. But of course, we would never recommend trying to be a freelancer like that.
No, or on Upwork or sites like Fiverr and sites like that. That's not a system. That's not you controlling your clients and where the work is coming from. Those are not systems.
Exactly. Well, and the thing is too, is that I think people forget that one of the big benefits of being a freelancer is that you have all of the control. You control who you work for. You control when you work. You control what your rates are. You control what days you take off, or where you work from, or any of that kind of stuff. And when you leave it up to fate to drop clients in your lap, or leave it up to past clients to send you referrals, or use sites where you're bidding for work and competing against other people, you're not in control. You're still leaving it up to other people. And it's a dangerous way to be in that. Again, in that scenario, if that's how you're going to work, it is risky. You want to be the one who is consistently going out and finding clients and landing clients. And that too, we hear sometimes people say, oh, well, yeah, freelancing is great if you want to work for peanuts. And that's not at all how it has to be. We have a team of people that work for us on the Fired Up freelance team. But every once in a while, I'll take a look at the ads, the comments on ads. That part I generally outsource to the team, and boy, do we get some angry comments on there in the middle of the night about along those lines of oh yeah, freelancing is great if you want to work for peanuts, or yeah, okay, this sounds great unless you live in the Midwest or the South where nobody pays for anything, or I've been a freelancer and I've struggled, blah 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 blah. And how do I say this the most diplomatically? It always
wrong. I feel like
that's wrong. Yes.
It's not actually factual.
Dear friends, you are incorrect. The thing is that there, and I don't think that the majority of our audience are the kind of people who are up in the middle of the night commenting on Instagram or Facebook ads. I will put that out there. But this idea that just because this person doesn't know how to do it means it can't be done is deeply, deeply flawed. Let's put it that way. Just because someone can't do it it's not even can't do it. Just because someone doesn't know how to do it doesn't mean that it can't be done. One of the things that I learned early in my career is that if you want, and really it's not just a career thing, it's a life advice, but if you want to learn something, take advice from someone who's been successful at what it is you want to do. If you're looking for marriage advice, don't take advice from your perpetually single friend. If you're looking to start a business, don't take advice from your Uncle Phil who's never started a business in his life. If you want to go freelance, don't take tips from someone who's never been successful as a freelancer. Because and I don't know what their lives have been like. I don't know what they've tried. It's not necessarily their faults that they haven't found or they haven't learned a system that works. But you don't want to learn freelancing from someone who doesn't know how to do it. And I think some of the loudest voices are the people who say, well, I tried it and it can't be done. And I would just be very, very careful about letting those voices influence you.
Mm-hmm. I always equate it to like the first time I changed a flat tire and I went in blind and was just like, yeah, this can't be hard. There's a car jack and the bolts and blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, the first time it ended up being like, hey, AAA, I need some help, versus the second and third time once it was like, okay, I've gotten a lot of flat tires in my life. I better learn how to do this. When I actually learned the steps to changing a flat tire, specifically for the car and the type of jack it had, then I could do it. But it wasn't that it couldn't be done. I went in blind trying to guess and hope that I could figure it out because, there's a little bit of ego. I like to think I'm a smart person and can figure things out. But at a certain point, you realize, well, why am I just trying to guess at this when plenty of people have done this before? Plenty of people have changed flat tires. Plenty of people have had successful freelancing careers. let me see how it's actually done and go from
Mhm.
there versus trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really great point is that you can be, and I can vouch for the fact that you are very smart, Kate. But you can be a genius. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how to do something yet, you don't know how to do something. You may be very, very smart, but you're not psychic. How could
Mm-hmm.
you possibly know how to do something before you know how to do it? You may be incredibly intelligent, but if you've never spoken French before, you can't walk into a cafe in Paris and have a conversation with someone. It's
Mm-hmm.
just you all, but at the same time, for anything that you want to learn, there are ways to learn it, and you learn what the steps are, you learn how to follow the steps, you learn how to make yourself a marketable freelancer, you learn how to teach yourself to stand up in a competition, you learn how to pitch and land clients, you learn how to price your services, how to send proposals through, how to have difficult conversations with clients. It's all things that you can learn, and actually a lot of which we're going to talk about in this series. So spoiler alert, stay tuned. Maybe not spoiler, kind of cliffhanger, but coming soon. But it's all stuff that absolutely can be learned. And when you know how to do all of those things, then it's not risky because you know all of the steps that you have to take in any scenario. And when you know the steps that you have to take to find and land clients, if you want more clients, then you turn the dial. You do more of those steps if you want more clients, more income, whatever. Or if you're, say, for example, you're heading, and this is true for if you want to be a full-time freelancer or if you want to be a part-time freelancer, either one. But if you think, oh, I have some expenses coming up over the next couple of months, so I'm going to dial this up a little bit. I'm going to bring in some more clients, bring in some more income. And then on the other side of the coin, if summer's coming and you're like, you know what, the kids are home, I want to relax a little bit, then dial it down, land fewer, or work with fewer clients, and just take smaller projects or take a little bit less work. But you are in control of that. When I hear people say, oh, freelancing is risky. And I was going to say, I don't know about you, Kate, but I do know about you, Kate.
You do.
I do know about you. When people say freelancing is risky, it depends on the person. Sometimes I'll say it, sometimes I won't, just to avoid, sometimes people are very set in their ways. But I always think to myself, like, freelancing is risky. Having an on-staff job is risky. That's where the
Mm-hmm.
risk is.
Yeah, as we always like to say, it's risky not to have, at least if not to freelance, but not to have the skills to know how to freelance. Because at any moment, when you're an employee, you're on staff at a company, so many numbers of things could happen. And you don't obviously spend your time worrying about it, but you do want to have some sort of career safety net, if you will, if something were to happen, whether it is, and we've been at companies where this has happened, where they merged with another company and the team is downsized or the company dissolves. Same company that happened. Yes.
Business.
Oh, business, exactly. But you never know. Or maybe you get a new boss, your old boss that you really loved working with in team, everyone changes out and suddenly you just don't enjoy going to work as much. But you feel trapped because you think, well, this is my job. Where else am I going to go? What else am I going to do? And freelancing is that safety net. So you don't have that risk, so that at any point you can say, nope, I can walk away and I will be fine.
Exactly. It's, we were talking earlier about control, and I think a lot of people confuse control and the feeling of safety, or at least they maybe not confuse the two, but when you're a freelancer, as we said, you control income, time, all that kind of stuff. Well, clients you work with, all that kind of thing. But when you're on staff, you have very little control over anything. You don't control who you work for. You don't control your salary. You don't control your livelihood. And yes, it doesn't, it is possible to be laid off, or to your point, Kate, it is possible to just, things change and all of a sudden you're like, I can't stay on this job anymore. And the nice thing is when you have freelance, you have someplace to go. You're not stuck. You're not trapped there, or you're not trapped until you can find another job or something like that. And don't get me wrong, I've been in full-time jobs myself and always loved them. Well, till right before I left, but I could leave whenever I felt like it, because I've also always been freelancing. And I think too that people think that they give up that control. Maybe this is what I was getting at before. They give up that control for the sake of safety. But how safe is it if somebody else is in control? If somebody else decides whether or not you have a job, if somebody else decides how much you work for, if somebody else decides, yes, where you sit in the office, but even sometimes where you live, where you work from, what your hours are, all of that kind of thing. And it's if you ask me, that is a risky way to live. Because, again, I've loved the on-staff jobs I've had, but a business is in business for the sake of its own continuance. I know we've had friends who have lost their jobs, and we've certainly felt for them. It's a crummy situation no matter what, but we'll hear people say, well, I'm so loyal to the company. How could they do this to me? Loyalty has nothing to do with it. You did your job and the company paid you, but it doesn't matter if you've been loyal to a company for however long. They don't owe you anything. And if a company has a choice between staying in business and laying off this division, they're going to lay off those people because the company's primary purpose is to stay in business. And it's, again, getting back to that you're basically saying, yes, thank you for this paycheck every week. I'm just going to give up all of that to you. And it's not a trade-off that you need to make. You don't need to give up complete control. Again, even if you are working a full-time job, you love your full-time job, awesome. But you should also have the skills to freelance. Number one, because it's great to make extra cash. Who doesn't love extra cash? Work a couple of nights a week, or maybe a weekend day, and sock away money for vacations or kids' college funds or any of that kind of stuff. But you always have, if you know how to freelance and you maintain those skills, and you take freelance clients every once in a while, it doesn't even have to be a constant thing. You know that you have something to rely on when you want it or when you need it. And to me, that is safety.
Yeah, and mentally freeing. Thank goodness.
Mentally freeing. Freedom. Absolutely. Yeah, it's so funny. You're right. It's a great point, because people talk about freelance is so free, but it's so freeing because you get to work from wherever, and you get to sit on a beach in Bali, and yeah, you absolutely can do that 100%. But if that's what you want to do, but you also just have the freedom to work from home, or work from your kid's soccer game, or work from the cafe down the street, or whatever. But it's not even just about you can work from wherever. It's about being able to work, yes, from wherever, but work when and how you want to. You are the one who's in charge. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed our diatribe on being freelance. But before we dug into anything else in the series, we really, really wanted to lay that groundwork and help you to understand. And we'll talk a little bit more as we go about what the possibilities are like there, about who is actually hiring freelancers. We'll talk about how much of a demand is there for freelancers. That's obviously something you're going to want to know. And we'll talk a little bit more about getting into what skills as a freelancer you can do, and how you go about finding clients. All that stuff is all coming up for you in the rest of this podcast series. So thank you for joining us in this first episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on this special Freelance Success Framework video series. If you found us through our free on-demand video training, then you already know 3 of the biggest secrets for building a dependable and scalable freelance business, and you are well on your way to success. If you haven't seen our free video training yet, be sure to check it out at freelancesuccesstraining.com. We'll see you there.